Hey guys, Nintendrew here, and today is a very special day because I recently got the chance to check out a limited release exclusive new arcade machine from the folks over at Arcade1Up. So in this video, I'll be reviewing the limited edition BurgerTime arcade cabinet. Let's get to it. Okay, so this is the limited edition BurgerTime arcade cabinet from Arcade1Up. Now this is my first machine from Arcade1Up, so this will be a review of the BurgerTime cabinet, but also is going to be kind of a review of their machines overall. You may have seen some of these arcade machines making the rounds recently, especially at Walmart locations. However, this BurgerTime cabinet is exclusive to the Arcade1Up website. If you want to pick this one up, you're going to have to pre-order it from their website directly. The BurgerTime arcade cabinet is available for pre-order today at arcade1up.com for $400. Now, if you do decide to order one of these yourself, the first thing you'll notice when it arrives is the cabinet does not come assembled. You will be putting this thing together yourself. However, that sounds a little bit more intimidating than it probably should. It's not all that difficult. If you put together any furniture from somewhere like IKEA, this is basically just like a more advanced IKEA project. Once you've got everything together, it's got some solid construction, complete with full vinyl art, T-molding, and all the trappings of an authentic arcade machine. It really does feel like a legitimate cabinet. Now, the screen is not as authentic as an original arcade machine would be, of course. It doesn't try to really emulate that old CRT feel. Instead, you're going to have clean, crisp pixels, a hallmark of emulation. Personally, I'm cool with the screen being more modern and not really trying to emulate that old CRT aesthetic, but I understand that that comes down to personal preferences, so I figured it was worth mentioning. Moving on to the hardware of the controls, I really like the sticks on this machine. Now, the buttons are not perfect. They are not like legit Sanwa Denshi buttons. They're kind of an approximation of authentic arcade buttons, but it's certainly playable. If you are used to legit cabinets or high-end fight sticks, the difference in quality might be a little bit distracting, but my guess is most people probably won't notice the difference. Now, one thing I wasn't expecting from this machine is the sound is surprisingly good. There's just one speaker embedded in the top of the machine, but it manages to create some pretty good volume and resonate throughout the body of the cabinet. On the software side, outside of BurgerTime, this cabinet includes 3 additional games: Karate Champ, Caveman Ninja, also known as Joe and Mac, and Bad Dudes, all classics from publisher Data East. I'll include some gameplay footage throughout this video so you can kind of see what that looks like on this newer, more modern screen. Now, it should be mentioned, this is a vertical display, which is great for both BurgerTime and Karate Champ, but 2 of those games, those being Caveman Ninja and Bad Dudes, are going to be a little bit smaller on that screen because those games do have a horizontal or landscape layout. So they're not going to take up the full real estate available on this display. Personally, I think that's not really a big deal, and it's nice to have those additional titles anyway. However, I do think there's one missing feature that really stands out to me. It would have been really nice to see some sort of save states or something more modern on the software side. This machine has a pretty high-resolution screen, as you can tell by the main menu and the boot animation, but that high-res screen kind of goes to waste with these classic titles. You don't have any sort of filters or themes or anything like that. The only time you're going to notice that the screen is higher resolution is on that main menu. It just would have been nice to see some additional features like you might see on the NES or Super Nintendo Classic systems from Nintendo. Now, another thing is, I was really hoping before I got my hands on this thing that it would be easy to hack, to be able to add more games to the system. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. It is possible, but most tutorials online for how to do that sort of thing suggest that you basically just rip out all of the components and put in your own Raspberry Pi or a similar kind of maker board to just replace the software entirely. If you're buying one of these arcade cabinets, be prepared to just play the games that are included unless you want to get ready for a big project. One thing that caught my eye while I was reviewing this machine is I noticed there's a small typo on the instructions on the bezel. There's a part over here that describes the controls of the game and refers to the player character Peter Pepper as Petter Pepper. At first I was thinking this was really shoddy quality assurance, and I couldn't believe that this had passed inspection. But then I went back to look at the original machine, and that typo was there as well. This is an authentic replication of the original machine, and I really appreciate that attention to detail. Originally that was going to be a big negative point to this review, but then I went and did my due diligence, and it turns out that's the way the original machine was. I love that attention to detail and commitment to authenticity. Now, of course, all Arcade1Up machines are 3/4 size models, but the BurgerTime cabinet does come with a riser to make it the same height as a traditional arcade machine. But something I noticed too is without the riser, it's perfect for playing while seated on a chair or a bar stool. So it's nice to have that option of elevation or to keep it as is. Now, one big issue I do need to address is I noticed when I was playing this machine, there are a few places on the display where there seems to be some sort of dust or debris trapped behind the screen. This isn't just some junk on the front of the panel. I made sure to clean the front of the screen thoroughly. This is actually trapped behind the clear layer and in front of that LED panel, which is really frustrating because that means that there is pretty much no way that I can get rid of this. At some point during production, some flecks of dust must have found their way between these two layers of the screen, and now it's a permanent problem. For something so expensive, again, this thing is selling for $400, I would have expected to see a bit higher quality control, and that is a big disappointment. Now, to be fair, after you get into it and you play it for a little bit, it does kind of fade to the background. It's hard to notice in practice, but really, if you're paying this much for something like this, you should expect better. One of the benefits of being 3/4 size in scale is this machine is super easy to move and relocate. I remember back when I made my Switch arcade cabinet, it was a nightmare to move anywhere, but this BurgerTime cabinet just kind of glides across my floor. It's super easy to pick up and rearrange if you're looking for a change in your room layout. Overall, I would say the BurgerTime arcade cabinet is not perfectly authentic to the real arcade experience, but it is a good modern alternative for the average player, and I think it completely succeeds in that goal. Overall, I give the BurgerTime limited edition arcade cabinet from Arcade1Up an 8 out of 10. I really hope that eventually we can see some Nintendo properties on these machines. I know it's not likely, it would require a lot of negotiation, and I know there's a lot of moving parts, but how cool would it be to see one of these things for Donkey Kong, like the original Donkey Kong, or Mario Brothers? That would be super dope. I hope we can eventually see some sort of partnerships like that down the road. But anyway, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this video on the BurgerTime arcade cabinet from Arcade1Up. And I do want to give a big thank you to Arcade1Up for sending in this unit for review. As always, if you did enjoy the video, please do consider subscribing to Nintendrew for all sorts of cool gaming content, and make sure to share it with any friends who might find it interesting. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye!
Hey guys, thanks again for watching and for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you like this one, here are 2 more videos you might like as well. As always, if you like what I do and would like to help out the channel, I've got a link to my Patreon on the right side of your screen. And otherwise, I hope you look forward to the next one. Take care!